There comes a moment in every man's life where he feels the quiet weight of something being off. Things might look fine on the surface, job, relationships, routine, but deep inside there's a gnawing emptiness. A quiet voice that says, "This isn't it." That voice isn't your enemy. It's your inner compass trying to get your attention. Today's video will reveal 12 subtle but powerful warnings that you're walking down the wrong path in life. These signs don't always show up in dramatic ways. They creep in slowly, through your mood, your energy, your relationships, your habits. And if you ignore them, they compound until one day you wake up completely disconnected from who you were meant to be. But the beauty of wisdom is this: once you recognize these signs, you can redirect. Because sometimes the greatest act of courage is not to keep going, but to turn around. In this video, we'll explore these 12 warnings through 4 deep chapters. We'll use motivational quotes, ancient wisdom, real-life examples, and powerful truths modern men need to hear, clearly and without sugarcoating. Like this video if you're ready to wake up. Share it with a brother who might need to hear this. Subscribe to stay aligned with the mindset that builds strong men. And don't forget, drop a comment below on which warning hit you the hardest. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. The Quiet Collapse. Signs from Within. Sometimes life doesn't fall apart in an explosion. It falls apart in silence. Not with chaos, but with a quiet decline, a slow erosion of energy, purpose, and truth. That's how being on the wrong path often feels. And in this chapter, we're going to break down the first 3 warnings that your soul is whispering to you, begging for a course correction. 1. You constantly feel tired, even after rest. And this isn't just about physical exhaustion, it's about the kind of tiredness that no nap or weekend can fix. You sleep for 8 hours, but you wake up already defeated. You take breaks, but you still feel like you're dragging your body through quicksand. This is your spirit saying, "I'm not meant for this." A man on the wrong path experiences resistance in everything. It's not just hard work that drains him, it's meaningless work. A missionless routine will crush your energy. Purpose energizes, confusion paralyzes. It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. Marcus Aurelius. That constant exhaustion is a flare signal from your inner compass. Your body is carrying the weight of a life you don't fully believe in. A man working a high-paying job he secretly hates. Everyone around him applauds his success, but every Sunday evening dread fills his chest like poison. That's not success, that's spiritual suffocation. 2. You numb yourself with distractions. When a man is on the wrong path, he loses touch with silence. The quiet becomes unbearable, so he turns to noise, scrolling endlessly, binge-watching, over-drinking, overeating, constant stimulation, not because he's lazy, but because he's trying to escape himself. If your screen time is going up while your self-esteem is going down, that's not a coincidence. These distractions are not the problem, they are symptoms. They are bandages on a deeper wound, the absence of inner direction. You're not lazy, you're lost, and instead of looking inward, you're numbing outward. Men are not disturbed by things, but by the view which they take of things. Epictetus. The real danger here is that every distraction you feed becomes a habit, and every habit you repeat becomes your identity. Ask yourself this: are you filling your free time with things that build you or things that bury you? 3. You're surrounded but still feel alone. A man on the wrong path may have people around him, but he feels completely disconnected. He laughs, but it's not real. He talks, but he's not heard. He's in rooms full of noise, but he feels invisible. Why? Because he's not being himself. He's being who the world told him to be. He's walking a path he never chose. That disconnection from self creates a disconnection from others. And here's the truth most won't say: it's better to walk alone on the right path than to be surrounded on the wrong one. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. When your environment doesn't reflect your values, your soul starts to suffocate. That ache of loneliness, even among others, is your deepest self whispering. You're betraying who you really are. A man in a long-term relationship that looks perfect on the outside. He's respected, admired. But deep down, he knows he's compromising on what he truly wants and who he truly is. That loneliness isn't from being unloved, it's from self-abandonment. These three warnings, constant fatigue, compulsive distraction, and silent loneliness, are not just life being unfair. They're internal messages. They're your soul screaming for alignment. And if you ignore them, they don't go away. They intensify. So take this seriously. Your body is wise. Your spirit is loud. Listen. Drop a comment if you've ever felt any of these silent warnings pulling at your heart. Chapter 2. The Inner War. When peace feels impossible. When a man is on the wrong path, he doesn't just suffer externally, he fights an invisible war within himself. This chapter will reveal 3 more warning signs that something deep inside you is out of alignment. These aren't just emotional states, they're indicators from your higher self that you're walking away from your destiny. 4. You're always irritated by small things. You snap more easily. Traffic feels unbearable. Someone's tone throws you off. A simple mistake ruins your entire day. And worst of all, you know you're overreacting, but you can't stop. This isn't just a short temper. This is your nervous system reacting to life out of sync with your values. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Constant irritation is usually not about what's happening around you. It's about what's missing within you. When a man's energy has no proper outlet, no purpose, no mission, no grounding, his emotions spill in chaotic directions. A man in his 30s doing everything right, job, bills paid, relationships maintained, but he still feels unfulfilled. So he lashes out at his partner, his co-workers, even strangers. But what he's really angry at is himself. Angry for settling, angry for knowing he's not where he should be. Irritation is not weakness, it's misdirection. You're not angry because you're soft, you're angry because you're unfulfilled. 5. You feel like you're living on autopilot. You wake up, go to work, come home, distract yourself, go to bed, then repeat. Days blur into weeks, weeks blur into months. You're not living, you're existing like a ghost moving through his own life. If you've stopped setting goal, if you've stopped imagining a better future, if you've stopped caring, that's not peace. That's numbness. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. And here's the brutal truth. Comfort is not always a blessing. Sometimes it's a trap, a slow poison that keeps you quiet while you die inside. A man who once had fire in his eyes, he used to create, plan, dream. Now, he scrolls through his phone while eating dinner, watching TV, and checking the time for when he can finally sleep. That's not laziness, that's a soul running on empty. Autopilot is the result of a man not questioning his direction. And if you don't ask hard questions now, you'll face harder consequences later. But 6. You don't respect yourself anymore. You catch yourself doing things that go against your own standards. You tolerate disrespect, you stay in toxic environments, you lie to yourself. And after each time, you feel a little more hollow. That's not just guilt, that's your conscience shrinking. And every time you betray your inner truth, your self-respect bleeds. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius. You don't need anyone else to disrespect you, you're doing it to yourself, silently every day. Whether it's through bad habits, passive decisions, or quiet self-sabotage, you're lowering your own value in your own eyes. And once that self-respect drops, everything else follows. Your discipline, your confidence, your ambition. A man who used to wake up early, train, read, and hold himself to a code. But now he hits snooze 3 times, skips the gym, lies to cover laziness, and avoids eye contact with the mirror. The world doesn't even notice, but he does. and that's enough to destroy a man from within. But the inner war must be faced. These three signs, constant irritation, living on autopilot, and a loss of self-respect, are screams from your deeper self. They're not asking for comfort, they're begging for course correction. The wrong path makes peace feel impossible, not because peace doesn't exist, but because you're headed away from it. So, brother, stop, breathe, reflect. It's not too late to choose again. Drop a comment if you've ever felt this invisible war inside, and what helped you start the journey back. Chapter 3. The Fog of Confusion. When you forget who you are. There's a point on the wrong path where you no longer feel like yourself. You start to question everything. You doubt your choices, your strength, even your worth. And that confusion, that fog, it doesn't just blur your vision, it blinds your soul. In this chapter, we'll uncover 3 more devastating signs that you've drifted far from your true direction. 7. You doubt every decision you make. When a man is connected to purpose, he decides with clarity, even when it's difficult. But when he's off course, everything becomes uncertain. You question whether to leave the job, whether to stay in the relationship, whether to speak up or stay quiet. You freeze, you hesitate, you analyze until opportunities pass you by. And every time you don't trust yourself, you reinforce the idea that you can't. He who deliberates fully before taking a step will spend his entire life on one leg. Chinese proverb. Doubt is not always a signal to wait. Sometimes it's the result of betraying your instincts for too long. You've silenced your inner voice so often now you can't even recognize it. A man offered a life-changing opportunity, start a business, move to a new city, change careers, but he's paralyzed by fear. Not because he doesn't want it, but because he doesn't trust himself anymore. He's made too many choices based on safety, not alignment, and now every decision feels dangerous. The truth. Your indecision is costing you more than failure ever will. 8. You struggle to feel proud of anything you accomplish something, but it feels empty. You finish a task, but there's no joy. You get praise from others, but it doesn't touch you. That's because pride doesn't come from achievement, it comes from alignment. A man only feels proud when his outer actions match his inner values. When they don't, even success feels like a lie. What shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world, yet loses his soul? The Bible, Mark 8:36. You could climb every ladder, win every award, get every woman's attention, and still feel nothing if you climbed the wrong mountain. A man who chased status, money, and validation his whole life. When he finally gets it, he feels nothing but emptiness, because what he truly needed was purpose, not praise. He spent years building an empire on sand. Feeling no pride in your victories is not failure, it's a signal, a warning that your wins don't reflect your truth. 9. You carry unexplained shame. This one's deep. There's a shame that doesn't come from what you did. It comes from who you became. It's a quiet guilt, a deep ache, the kind that follows you to sleep. Not because you hurt others, but because you abandoned yourself. When you're on the wrong path, you carry invisible shame. You can't even explain it to people. It's like a secret wound that keeps bleeding beneath the surface. Shame is the soul's recognition that you are living beneath your potential. Unknown. A man who's known he was meant for more. He's known for years, but he keeps playing small, keeps settling, keeps ignoring the voice that says, "You were made for something greater." That shame, it doesn't come from the world, it comes from within. And here's the truth, that shame is not to destroy you, it's to wake you up. Clear the fog or stay lost. Forever confusion, emptiness, shame. These aren't personality flaws, they're signs of misalignment. They are the soul's way of saying, turn around. This isn't you. No matter how far you've wandered, the way back is always one decision away. You just have to stop running from yourself. Drop a comment if you've ever struggled with confusion, pride, or shame, and how you've started to find clarity again. Chapter 4. Course Correction. Reclaiming the man you were meant to be. If you've recognized the signs from the previous chapters, restlessness, shame, confusion, it means something powerful. Your soul hasn't given up on you. In this final chapter, we'll cover the last 3 warnings that you're on the wrong path in life, and more importantly, how to turn things around before you waste years chasing a life that's not yours. 10. You keep attracting chaos. When you're on the wrong path, life doesn't become calm, it becomes louder. You attract toxic people, drama, setbacks, and unhealthy habits. You may say, "Why does this always happen to me?" But brother, life is trying to get your attention. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung, a man who keeps dating the same kind of woman, emotionally unstable, manipulative, draining. Each relationship ends in pain. But it's not about the women, it's about what he tolerates because he hasn't healed himself. Chaos is not bad luck, it's a mirror. It's life shouting, "Wake up, you weren't made for this." If everything around you feels like a storm, it might be because you're living outside your natural alignment. 11. You can't sit in silence. Here's one most men ignore. If you can't sit alone without distractions, if you constantly need music, TV, noise, social media, or someone to talk to, then you're likely avoiding your own thoughts. Stillness becomes unbearable when your soul is unsettled. A man's worth is measured by how much truth he can tolerate. Friedrich Nietzsche. A man who fills every free moment with scrolling, texting, or background noise, not because he's busy, but because silence forces him to face the parts of himself he's been avoiding. Dreams he gave up on, pain he buried, responsibilities he's neglected. The inability to be still is a sign you're running from something, and that something is usually you. Want to know the fastest way to find your true path? Sit in silence and listen to what your soul is really asking for. 12. You've forgotten what makes you come alive. You've stopped doing the things that once lit you up. You don't create anymore. You don't build, you don't explore, you don't grow. You've become a shell of the man you were designed to be. This final warning sign is subtle, but it's deadly. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Howard Thurman. Because what the world really needs is men who have come alive. A man who once loved playing guitar, writing, or working with his hands, but now he tells himself it's a waste of time. So he works a job he hates, spends money to numb himself, and wonders why he feels dead inside. He didn't lose his spark. He abandoned it. If you've forgotten what makes you come alive, you've likely been walking a path designed for someone else. But you can always choose. Again, here's the truth many won't tell you: you're not stuck. You're just disconnected. You're not broken. You're just misaligned. And it's not too late. It never is. The wrong path doesn't define you, but it will shape you if you keep walking it. The man you were meant to be is waiting. Not at the end of the road you're on, but at the one you've been afraid to take. So stop, reflect, turn around if you must. The right path may be hard, but it leads home. Drop a comment if you're ready to course correct and take the first step toward becoming the man you were born to be.